One of the greatest viewing nights of my life. From the moment that first stockman came out and did the whoosh.
The moment those horses came onto... I'll start crying soon. They came onto the stadium.
Welcome to the Sydney 2000 Games of the 27th Olympiad.
It was great right from the very, very beginning. Everything in there. And it took your breath away.
And the humour in it, say the Victor lawnmowers. I mean, some people question that. I thought that was great, and it was done really well.
And then came the moment.
I was the director of the actual lighting segment, Richard Ware's place, watching the lighting ceremony, and when the machinery stopped, that heart-stopping moment, Richard's head went into his hands.
And everybody's waiting. And waiting. And waiting.
And apparently there were only seconds left on the microchip for the machinery to get up to the flame.
People were speechless. This perfect thing was going to come to this disastrous end. But in the end, bingo, suddenly there it was.
At the end of that, I felt like shouting out, "You bloody beauty, you little ripper." It was fantastic.
Good day, viewers. He just had that eye to see the little quirks in our nature and to see where we're send-upable. Why didn't you tell me I had that on?
I couldn't tell the difference, mate.
We all did these things that he joked about, not just George Fungus and not just the characters on television.
I'm Ray Martin.
I'm Ian Leslie.
And I'm George Fungus.
And so the menace on our surfing beaches continues. When the sun comes out, so do the white pointers. This man fell victim when a bronze whaler surfaced alongside him. And we must ask ourselves, where will it all end? What other dangers must we face? What other unseen monsters are lurking out there, waiting to rear their ugly heads and frighten the wits out of us all?
He turns aquarism into a way of life. He created aqua words that nobody ever heard before in their entire life.
One. Two. Really good for the old comic cuts. And not real bad for the optic nerve either, eh?
One sketch is where Strop takes the washing up, it's sitting on the sink, and Hogs is in the shower.
Go while you're there, mate. Now to send the washing up, will you?
And he takes the washing up in, and Hogs has got his footy socks on in the shower, and he dumps the washing up there, and Hogs is washing it in the shower, and he sort of washes out this dirty cup, which you can imagine has been there for 4 months or something, with his footy sock soaking wet. I mean, it's just revolting, but it's somehow funny.
Great stuff. What's going to top that? Well, we'll find out after the break.
It's hard to explain to a modern audience the extraordinary impact of television. People would stand in the street looking in the windows of electrical goods stores, just watching a screen. And very often on that screen was the image of Graham Kennedy. Always wearing a sort of 50s suit, always properly dressed, like a nice person who would approach you in Myers asking if you needed help.
So, foot in water. Oh, put your foot in there. Just a minute. For a few minutes. We've had it. That's 5 seconds a toe. They're doing well.
The thing with Graham was that he always gave you the impression that he was talking directly to you.
And I say, not only that, you can make vanilla slices. Have you seen that commercial? Nice homemade vanilla slice made out of Tiseo biscuits. How about that? Sounds like dysentery, doesn't it?
I used to get particular pleasure out of watching him send up the commercials. He used to insult the products and the clients and get away with it, as he used to say. If your feet are hurting, you're wearing Ralph Merton.
When they're hurting, by Merton.
And throw the shoes on the floor.
He never also bothered much about his teeth.
Yes.
Which gave him a funny sort of shark-like look.
Gentlemen, insist on Tongala reduced cream, because it's good stuff.
Ralph Merton 707s cost, as I say, cost you only 99 and 11. So if you pop along to your local...
Lots of stuff was done on grog, of course, and on my drinking. Graham will admit to the fact that, in reality, Graham drank just as much, if not more, than I.
No, we always said we'd do this. I've got to do it tonight to prove a point. 1, 2, 3, and we'll do it. 1. Here we go. You ready?
Yes.
Well, all right. 1, 2, 3.
This was what was so appealing about Graham overall, I think. He sent himself up as much as he sent everybody else up. We're supposed to take this seriously, this whole exercise very seriously, but Graham was incapable of doing that.
He's got the dog on the set. He doesn't care if the dog weaves on the set.
It must be true what they say. Rasputin is immoral.
Immortal!
The new star blankets have got control knobs.
Control knob?
Yes. One for the husband and one for the wife.
Oh, it'd take more than a knob to control me and me.
Goodbye, George. You're not going to keep me warm in the old age. You'll get nothing at all.
He was brilliant. I mean, just brilliant. I mean, they built a desk for him that he could drive around the studio, for God's sake. Who else would have thought of that or had anything like that, you know?
Oh, it's nothing. Number 23, but still, you didn't come along expecting to win anything because all you came along to do was see the show. What a thrill. I'm more thrilled than you are, I think.
There's a reason Graham Kennedy's on the top of everybody's list. He was, and I suspect will remain, the finest live performer we've ever had. And what Graham Kennedy had, which any great comedian, and there are very few anywhere, has, is no matter what he was doing, he always threatened to be funny. And you would hang on that moment waiting for it, because it would come.
Back then, he was a very important part of my life, and I'd like to think in some way I was an important part of his life too.
Thank you for watching for the past 50 years and for joining us tonight. As Brian Henderson would say, good night, Australia.